What up, y'all? Welcome back to Sexton Accountability. Today, I want to talk about caffeine. Okay, it's one of the most widely abused stimulants. It's socially acceptable. It's accessible. It's everywhere. Pretty much everyone drinks coffee or some form of caffeine in the morning. People do energy drinks. People do pre-workouts. It is so widely consumed. All right. And the purpose of this video is just to share my take on it, my experience with it. And that's really about it. So I'm someone who started drinking caffeine at a very young age. I would be at my stoner grandma's house and she would make me a tiny cup of coffee, which she called cowboy coffee, which was really heavy on cream and sugar. And when I say a tiny cup, like it was literally like a cup that was like that big. It was tiny, this little tiny play teacup. And so that was at a very, very young age, as early as 5 years old. I would drink this cowboy coffee. So it was filled with sugar and cream, and it also had coffee in it, but I could have, a couple of those. And so that was my first experience that I can remember when it comes to caffeine. Of course, I would, get sips of soda and stuff like that, but soda was not that readily available when I was a little kid. Just my mom wasn't a big fan of promoting the drinking of soda. So I really only would also get that at my grandma's house because she drank Dr. Pepper exclusively. So she didn't really even drink water. She just drank Dr. Pepper. She would drink coffee. That was her vibe. So anyways, that was when I realized early on that oh, wow, this makes me feel upbeat. Like I feel kind of playful or whatever and fun. And so, it wasn't negative or anything, but it was very apparent that was accepted and that was okay. So moving on, periodically I would drink coffee. I would take sips of it. I would get, little cups of soda. And so we just basically get indoctrinated into this way of being to where it's caffeine is okay. And look, the point of this video is not to demonize caffeine. It's just kind of to talk about this substance that is a pillar of our civilization. It is so just ingrained in our society. And it's such a huge part of how we promote the idea of productivity in this capitalist system. All right. So there's more to that, and I might go into that later. So anyways, my consumption of caffeine as a teenager was really in soda. You know what I mean? I was not a big energy drink person. I'm someone who is, I've been diagnosed with tons of stuff, but I would say some of the behavioral stuff and some of the things that go on mentally for me would be categorized as ADHD. Okay. And so sometimes caffeine felt like it chilled me out, but then if I consumed too much, it would make me jittery and I wouldn't feel good. So really my teenage years of caffeine consumption were pretty moderate, to be completely honest. And all throughout my substance use disorder, my caffeine consumption was extremely moderate as well. I even would buy caffeine-free Coca-Cola, and I preferred that actually, which is really weird because it's I dabbled with all sorts of stimulants, but generally I was not seeking out caffeine. So that was my experience. I moderately consumed caffeine, very rarely to be completely real, except for when it was with soda. All right. Now I got into recovery in 2014. All right. And that's when everything changed because caffeine is almost promoted in recovery. So right out of the gate in treatment, we were able to go shopping. Specifically, we would go to Walmart, which I'm not a fan of shopping at Walmart. That's a side note. Walmart is cool if you need miscellaneous stuff, but I didn't like having to go and buy food there. And that's because I was in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi. They were we got to go to Walmart. All right. The thing is that they have a huge soda section. So I was buying Baja Blast. I was buying, Coca-Cola. I was buying just tons of soda. Tons of soda, all right? And high caffeine soda. Also, you weren't allowed to, but we would smuggle in Red Bull. So I was drinking a lot of the summer edition, the yellow one. I think it's just tropical now. And I was drinking just regular Red Bull. And so this was my introduction to caffeine abuse. Recovery was my introduction to caffeine abuse. Recovery was also my introduction to nicotine abuse. I started relying heavily on nicotine and caffeine because that is what is socially acceptable. And like I said, it is pretty much promoted. Like in 12-step meetings, there's always literally a coffee machine that is part of it. It's like a aspect to service work where people will volunteer to make coffee. So this is all like, it's ingrained specifically in 12-step recovery. And I have a lot of strong feelings about that because I think that it can cause a lot of issues with anxiety for people who probably don't need that to be inflamed. But look, I'm going to briefly go into this. The nicotine and the caffeine, it served its purpose. It was there. It kind of gave the illusion that I was like doing something that was like, like still available for me. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do drugs anymore. So I'll just do this. And those are drugs, but I'm not here to demonize it. I'm just saying it effectively was a thing in place to where when I was really struggling and I wanted to use, I had caffeine and nicotine there. Okay. And so that it can be a form of harm reduction. When we really look at caffeine and nicotine though, as far as the effects on your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, just your heart in general, like in my experience, it was not healthy. It was not helpful because the consumption was just in the area of binging. You know what I mean? And so for the first 3.5 years of my recovery, I leaned heavily on caffeine. I started drinking yerba mate, green tea. I would find different versions of it. I was never really a coffee person. I tried to drink nitro cold brew, and it would like get me zooted. I remember the first time that I tried espresso and it felt like literally it felt like I was on meth to me, and I've done meth, so I was like, okay, this is pretty wild that you can literally just go buy this. But anyways, so basically what ended up happening is I would consume primarily yerba mate, soda, periodically drink coffee because I was working at a place where I got free coffee. And it was really hurting me. While also, like I said, going really hard on nicotine. I was vaping and smoking cigarettes at times. It was really rough. And so look, basically what ended up happening is I started to have symptoms of kidney stones. All right. I also was drinking Topo Chico at the time, which like the mass amount of minerals is not good for stuff like that. And so, yeah, basically this was just really bad for my health. And a whole nother point that I want to make is that a lot of people will rely on these beverages with caffeine and they don't drink water. At least that was the case for me. My grandma included. She literally just drank Dr. Pepper. So I was drinking Coke and Dr. Pepper religiously for years without really drinking water. I would drink water like it was on an emergency basis. So like I wake up in the middle of the night, the stereotypical middle of the night, like, and you go and like chug water. Like that's how I drank water. I was not maintaining any form of hydration from water. And so basically we get little increments of water through these flavored drinks that we're having. And it just is extremely harmful in my opinion, because when you operate from a place of being dehydrated, it hurts your mental health and your physical health. And it actually hurts functionality. So the real point of caffeine in our society is functionality in a capitalist system. It's productivity. It's about getting more done. And I think that it actually, in the long run, it hinders your ability to be productive and to get things done. I think that if we live a lifestyle that is sustainable and based on self-care and things like hydration, eating enough food, all that stuff, then we're more likely to get more stuff done long term. This is about life being sustainable. But unfortunately, we live in a system to where it's about instant gratification. It's about, let's get it done now. Let's get it done fast. Let's get it done, and it's just, that to me is inherently harmful. Even just the whole hustle culture thing. And we can go off. I'm going to do another video about stimulant medications, but it's the same kind of vibe with this. And I'm not here to hate on stims as medications. I'm just saying that a lot of the vibe behind it is that what people are basically neurodivergent, and that they need to move faster. They need to be able to do this. They need to, and look, and I understand a lot of A lot of stimulant medications are for the purpose of people doing the basic bare minimum when it comes to like self-care and like even stuff that has to do with hygiene and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm not like, I understand. I'm just saying that we have these huge motivators and these huge forces that are pushing us to be productive. And basically that energy prioritizes productivity over people, over self-care. And caffeine is a huge instrument of that, to be completely honest. So that is my take on caffeine. I can tell you, I'll go back to, I'm going all over the place, I apologize. But so I consumed the caffeine, abused it really in my recovery. And then I decided I'm stopping. So I cut out nicotine and caffeine completely. Basically the things that were left. Around that same time, I quit utilizing CBD. And it was just like, I'm cutting out everything. I also changed my diet, and I was like, I'm going to drink exclusively water. And so for a little bit over 4 years, I've been doing that, and I feel so much better. I'm so much more productive. My energy levels I can maintain them, and I'm not self-sabotaging and feeling completely fatigued and emaciated because I'm basically dehydrating myself while consuming liquids. So for me, the caffeine and the sugar was basically contributing to extreme dehydration. And it was almost like it created some form of depersonalization, derealization, to where it was like I was in the passenger seat and I was just witnessing, I was just like a head floating in the air, like going through life. And it was inherently harmful for me. So the point of this is not to demonize caffeine or to hate on caffeine. The point being is that the reason that caffeine is implemented is for capitalist motivations, and it is about productivity. Okay. But the thing is that people get dependent and even addicted to it. And then it becomes this thing to where it's also like, I don't feel like, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. That mentality is fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. It is. It's like this pessimistic, weird thing centered around this substance is just inherently toxic in my opinion. I'm sorry. And I know it's like joking, like, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. It's just like, I just don't think, because it's so normalized, because it's so socially acceptable, we don't really look at the behavioral issues that come with it, because there are, especially when you give a lot of caffeine to little kids. So it's like, there's a reason why it's discouraged for like, preteens and teens and just kids in general to drink energy drinks. You know what I mean? And this isn't about some like, don't do drugs, just say no fucking bullshit, because that doesn't work. All right. This is about just being accountable with what we consume and honoring ourselves and not continuing to consume things that are contributing to our decline, whether it be mentally or physically. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, look, I'm all over the place with this one, but I can tell you that my life is so much better without caffeine. There are options that are non-stimulant based that are very, very effective. Like something that I have utilized in the past is maca. Maca, is not caffeine, and it's extremely helpful in my opinion. It's not something that I utilize regularly, but it's something that is available, and there are other options. There are nootropics, there are different vitamins and minerals. Of course, you need to talk to your doctor before implementing any type of supplement, but even just taking B12, dude, even just making sure that you have enough B12 can really contribute to wellness and energy. So I think that should be the baseline. And then if you want to enhance your life with caffeine, it's like, that's an option, of course. But I just think that it can also cover up a lot of symptoms of being deficient in certain areas, whether it be vitamins and minerals or just being deficient behaviorally when it comes to like just being a dick and like only like, I have to have caffeine to function. Like I get it, dude. I don't fuck with that mentality. So yeah, that's really it, y'all. That's my experience with caffeine. That's my take on caffeine. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you can relate. Let me know if you've had different experiences. I'm interested to hear y'all's feedback. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my website, sextonaccountability.com, if you want to know about my services, if you want to schedule a call. I have some availability. So peace out. Much love. Be easy.